All right, welcome to a new horizon, the official start of it. And we start with the chapter, what do you think the name is? A New Horizon. So I love it. So it's chapter 1 of the book, A New Horizon, the book by Joel Goldsmith. He did not write the whole book with this title, but it was assembled, it was put together by the publisher and the editor. They took the best to bring up the essential, the recommended chapters that Joel was sharing with us, that he recommended he mentioned it many times. So, but anyway, we're not doing this as an historic event or something. We're not doing this as okay, Joel said it, so it must be great. No, this is actually for our individual transformational process that seems to be taking place in us. And so we use anything for that, because it is basically waking up out of a dream that kept us like a prisoner in a prison. And this prison house that we find ourselves in, we call human existence. Now, chapter 1 is partially part of that, with an idea of mesmerism. That would be a good description of it, because it's it is the whole idea of, in fact, like being under influence of something that is not really there, that has no real source, but it distracts completely. And you might think it even as a reality. Now, this is really interesting, and we use, like I said, we use anything to discover what it actually means to be in this prison house. Do we recognize it as a prison, or do we try to get comfortable in our little cell, you could say? Are we trying to get comfortable in our limited description of ourselves? Now, you see in the book, we read some parts of it yesterday, or looked at some parts of it yesterday, but if you look in the book, it is very gently put all together. So that makes it, for somebody who's asleep in a dream of limitation, it makes it okay, yeah, that will come one day, that will, sure, yeah, I'll read the book and then we'll see what happens. That can easily evoke a response like that. And I'm really speaking from experience. It's like the books of Joel can be very comforting in a sense of, I'm not, stirred into action or confronted with something that's impossible, and I have to move through it. And that makes it that apparently the way that Joel teaches is in a very gentle way. He's keeping his word. He's using scripture. He's very, like a pastor talking. Of course, that's not completely true when I say it like this, but it is by the comfort of it, by the ease of it, by coming into an ease with it, by relaxing deeply into what is being offered, something might happen. It might just suddenly happen. There's no bad or good way of teaching this or exemplifying this. So it's apparently it works for many of us, which is really wonderful. Now I don't want to touch that. Of course, I already did that. Too late. Yeah, so too late. So what am I teaching when I try to teach, a new horizon? What am I teaching? Where do I come from in this? Well, in fact, in an activating, aspect of the infinite way of being. It's like an activating aspect. I want you to look at certain things. I want you to really deeply consider what is going on. and feel the intensity, or feel the conflict of that, and feel the pain of the actual situation that you find yourself in, to really openly feel that more than anything else. And why is that? Well, how do you learn things? Now, we all have our own ways of learning things. So for the one is that visual, the other one like auditive, like with audios and with visuals, with videos, with images, with just by being complemented, by being supported, by being, you have all kinds of ways to learn things in the world. Now, what is this then? Because what is an actual transformational process or transformational program, as it is being presented, in fact, in the infinite way? See, the infinite way of being is an state of being, you could say. It's a state of being. It is not something that you have to accomplish, or something that you have to work at to get, or something that has to be made, or stuff like this, created, or constructed. No, not at all. So how then can learning be of any kind of support in this whole process? Now, that sounds maybe pretty difficult already, or complex, if I put it like this, but it is not so. So I'm saying this because my intention in doing this, to use this book of Joel, my intention is to save time. To save time of suffering, to save time of illness, to save time of needless conflict. Not that there's a good way of conflict, but like to overcome these things as quick as possible. To come to a certain recognition as soon as possible. And am I in a hurry? Well, I no longer want to see my brother suffering. I don't want anyone to be in pain, because I've recognized for myself that there's no cause, really. There's no cause for that. There is no such thing as that. So the infinite way of being, the infinite way, as Joel teaches it, is a representation of, in fact, recognizing, coming to the point of remembering, I am does not change. I am cannot change. I am is what I am. It is the only thing that exists. It is the only thing permanent. It is the only thing eternal. If anything is, it is eternal. It cannot waver, it cannot go out, it cannot disappear, it cannot anything like this. Now, like I said, that comes with certain evaluations or considerations. I made a list, so I'm doing this kind of systematic. And there's a reason for that. I think it's the most joyous to do it that way. That's why I'm doing that. So I made a list with questions, and I will go through them. And they all point, like activate you in your looking at your situation. Oh yeah, so I didn't say yet why I'm doing this way, except for the fact that I'm, trying to assist as much as possible in speeding up the process of coming into the recognition of what you truly are. So how can a change occur? How can a change occur? That's a very legitimate question. How does a change occur? Well, there has to be a reason for it. There has to be a motivation to do so for it. There has to be an actual, desire for change. Otherwise, change will not happen. Now, how can you best be confronted with an urge to change? How can that urge to change be triggered, you could say, or called into action? How can that be done? Well, one way certainly is, in fact, to realize that the place that you're in is a prison, right? That's a dream, that's a total mistake, that it's over, that it's past, and that it in fact never existed. Now that is a real confrontation. Because now you say like, yeah, but wait a minute, I live my life here and I have a business, I have a family, I have a car, I have a house, I have a whatever mortgage, I have relationships, I have this and I have that. I was like, yes, I will not say ignore that. I will not say like, no, that's not so. No, I'm saying yes, indeed. So this description that you just gave of yourself is in fact how you constructed yourself in mesmerism, in limitation. Like using the word differentiated. You differentiated. You wanted to have that, specifically there. You wanted that specific thing. And you married that thing, that person, because you loved him or her, and this and that. Like all very specific, very much into, yeah, you chose exactly what you wanted to in fact, give expression to how you see yourself and what you think is the best for you in order to be happy or to do this or do that. And now, you might already have come to the, say, the conclusion or to the maybe a little bit painful experience that all that failed. That where you put your money, so to speak, actually did not work out the way that you thought it would. You learned to accept it and you kind of like are okay with it. But it's not that it's expanding and fully bringing you joy. Every morning you jump out of bed and in a complete, absolute ecstasy of total happiness, not knowing what to do with yourself to be in the place that you find yourself. That might not be the case. There might be a reason to be inspired, to let a change occur. So I'm going to pull up the questions. This is our next phase. So we're going to take a look at the questions that are here. First section is mesmerism. So let's do that and see it from there. But I'm going to read them anyway to you. So step by step, mesmerism. So what is it actually that you see? So when you live your life, what is it that you see, right? That's essential. Like, what is it that you see? And you say, like, well, what do you mean? What do you see? It's like, I see the world, right? I'm seeing my neighbors, I see my house, my garden, my whatever, my dog, my cat, my whatever comes up. Has it a name? Yeah, it's my cat. It's my dog, Danny the dog. And there's my wife, there's my kid, there's my neighbor named John Doe. Do you have any doubt that what you see has reality? I said, no, of course not. No, that is my reality. What are you talking about? So to whom are you directing yourself when you talk to someone? What is that, a trick question? No, kind of, yeah. So to whom are you directing yourself when you talk to someone? Who are you listening to when you come to this class? Are you listening to somebody in a body, in a form, specifically with a red t-shirt on or something? You know, is it specific? Is it very much into detail how you see this person as in form, an expression of form? Does it have reality? See, all this you don't doubt. When do you think you will get this idea of mesmerism, or that you're in a dream? Like, when do you think you will get this? Maybe it's like, oh, well, when I do this New Horizon course, then I'll probably get it, what this is. That this is a dream and that I can wake up out of it and all this stuff. And how much time do you give yourself? Are you tolerant for yourself? Like, do you give yourself a lot of time to go through this? Are you actually taking time to stay in this dream of limitation for a while and take the best out of it and then see what happens? Or is there something else coming up? Are you coming to the place where you actually feel that you have enough? Or maybe you think that some parts of your dream are real. So what does the dream do? What does this dream do? What does it confirm in that sense? What does it confirm to you? And another question is, do you experience your dream as a prison? Maybe not. Maybe you think it's okay. See, if you think it's okay, then you have no motivation, you could say, no inspiration to change. Why would you? If your prison house is, like, if you don't see it as a prison, but are experiencing it as your life and you're okay with it, why would you change? Or maybe do you know how to escape it? Maybe you found a way to make it doable, to stay in the prison house or in your dream, but to make it acceptable to yourself. See, these are questions. Now this is just as a warming up, you could say. This is just a bit as a warming up. Like, oh yeah, okay, so now I get what you're saying. Yeah, my dream is not too bad at this moment. I had terrible times, but it's not too bad at this point. I'm coping with it. I'm dealing with it. See, this is a description of yourself as a human being, being kind of like comfortable with the dream and having no reason to really get out of it. So then it's like, okay, so what can I do for you? Like you come to me, in fact, like you come into this class with an idea, not to be entertained, but in fact, you come to this class for a change, to allow a change to occur, because that's in fact what is being given by this book, by looking at the essential chapters. Joel writes about mesmerism. I might read a little bit out of the book, so it can be nice too. By the way, this chapter 1 is from The Infinite Way, chapter 11, The New Horizon. Let me see. So the description they give in the introduction, this can also be interesting to read, and that's this. The first chapter is The New Horizon in The Infinite Way. Joel writes that all the principles necessary for developing healing consciousness are in this chapter, which he called the practitioner's chapter, meaning those who understand and then embody the principles within the chapter hold the keys to healing, teaching, and sharing, a sharing way of life. Now that's an interesting description. And so it's like developing the healing consciousness. All the necessary principles are in this chapter. So that's why we actually have to pay attention, because it's like all of the healing principles, you could say, are in this little chapter. It's a very short chapter. So what occurs to me when I read it is that in order for me to get this first chapter, that was in the way that it came to me, like years of work. I can tell you that. It's like years of work in the sense of letting go, of diving deeper, having to discover my full acceptance of this in a commitment that I gave myself completely to this, and recognizing that how healing actually works, how I have to allow that to occur to me. Like, it's not one thing that if I read it and I assemble the principles that I get it. So that makes it always so difficult to read. Now I can read this chapter easily and thinking, oh yeah, that's so great. Oh yeah, the healing consciousness and this and that. In order for you to come into a healing consciousness, you have to be willing, in fact, to lay aside the desirable and the undesirable of your human existence. In other words, you will have to wake up out of this prison house that you might not even recognize right now. And you keep forgetting that you're in one, because everything that you do is establishing yourself within this prison house. You want to get out of it a little bit. You want to get rid of your symptoms that you're experiencing, and when that is so, you're good for some time. Like, you're very tolerant to yourself. And now it's not that we say push you to do anything. Of course not. No, this is purely by individual inspiration. That's why nobody can tell you how to do this. But I can tell you this in like how this is given by Joel in this chapter. If you would read that and take that to heart and actually implement it and apply it into your daily affairs, in a sense, you are becoming the practitioner that Joel is talking about, recognizing that the only one that you deal with is the Christ. And that consciousness is, in fact, directing you in every moment, in every step that you take. That is what's being shared here. So that's just one sentence. And see, now I can read over it and think like, oh, that's so beautiful. It's great, wonderful. And hop over to the next chapter. But then I miss it. I miss, in fact, being put in the place where a change can occur, where a transformation of mind can occur, where I can allow a change to occur within me, where I suddenly don't experience my humanness as a happy, great place of harmony and health and all this. No, actually come to the frustration of whatever I do here, it is always limited. It will always end the same way. My brother is suffering. My brother just died. My this, my that. Like, all of this is continuously happening. And I'm so sick of it. I come to the point where I see I cannot do that any longer. Now this is in fact the possibility for change, for a metamorphosis into a whole new you, where a new horizon comes to you. The new horizon is not an horizontal one. No, it's also not a vertical one. Like, the new horizon is a new dimension. So it's like a portal from, say, in fact, a dissolving of a three-dimensional idea of yourself, of specificness, of others, of comparisons, of analysis, of competition, of wanting, of desire, of time. So that's what we're dealing with. Now this is really great. So I'm continuing now with my, say, second list. Now the infinite way of being. This is where we're finding ourselves in eternity, you could say. Because the infinite way, supposedly, is an eternal state of being. Can truth be reflected in a dream? Oh yes, it can. Absolutely. Can sight be unified? Why is that so important? Well, if you perceive just differences and say dualistic ideas, it can be unified, right? You recognize this. If you are overwhelmed with the beauty of a flower that you've never seen before, for instance, that literally takes you home, suddenly your sight is unified. You recognize something, or you fall in love with someone who you thought was separate from you. Suddenly you feel your oneness with your brother. So sight can be unified. Well, that's interesting. Can that be shared? Absolutely. Is that a blessing? You bet. Absolutely. Is the infinite way of being perfectly accomplished? Yes, indeed. The infinite way is perfectly accomplished. It is not something that needs to be accomplished. It is not something that has to be made. It is not something that has to come to in perfection. See, these are all ideas that you can carry with you when you read the book, still thinking that something needs to happen in order for it to be perfect. No. Is there an exception to that? No, there isn't. So here are a couple of things that are, and you can read it again. I made a PDF of the questions also. It's like, this is so essential because in fact it is like, now the infinite way of being, as I love to call it, like the infinite way of being is a perfected state that is and will always be accomplished. It doesn't need to be made. It doesn't need to be perfected. So apparently, the way that you see yourself as being someone in a process coming to a recognition of itself means that it is not recognizing itself as it truly is. And it will never recognize itself as it truly is, because what is already perfectly accomplished and is already. So that is one part that will save you a tremendous lot of time if you recognize this, what I'm sharing with you. And this is, I'm speaking from deep experience in not hearing this. In fact, also, I've not heard this for a long time. So if you want to be quicker than I did it, it would be like this. Don't try in any kind of way to improve the way that you see yourself, or to improve the way that you see your brother, or any kind of improvement, any kind of making your ideas about it better or something, any kind of activity like that will be an absolute waste of time. So what is there to do then? Exactly, that would be the right question. So what is there to do then? See, the only thing, and this is what we practice with meditation, with becoming still, with allowing something else to occur, and however words we use for that, is this. It's like, what is already. Like, it doesn't need to be made, it doesn't need to be accomplished and perfected. So all of these activities that you normally do with your human mind are absolutely not applicable in this in this way of being. So letting that go is like work. It is work. It is learning to do that, learning not to engage your mind in the situations that you find yourself. Constantly coming back to the idea, it's like, oh no, wait a minute. What I'm seeing is an image. It's a picture. It's an image. It's not a fact. So that I saved myself 1500 years of more suffering. It is a picture. It's not a fact. So I'm not dealing with it as if it is a fact. Now I recognize, even though I'm just experimenting with it, you could say, I'm recognizing that my dream is reflecting what I'm thinking. and it's not a fact. I see an image, and I think it needs to be adjusted. Now, the natural thing for my mind would be to be engaged and try to make it work, make it look better, instead of letting, in fact, the infinite way of being show me what it really is, because that is, in fact, the invitation. Become still, listen. I'm here. Your servant heareth. I'm a servant. I'm not a plumber. I'm not an constructor. I'm not anything that I can define myself as. No, I don't have to define myself. I can let myself be free of that. Now that will bring a whole new idea to everything that's occurring. But like I said, see how this can take a moment for you to grasp it and actually apply it in your affairs. Because before you consciously are aware of the fact that you're doing it, mostly you're already up to your chin in the situation. All right, so stage 3. So there was the infinite way of being. Very interesting. Really moving into a direction. Can you actually hear how high this teaching is? Now we're going one step up. God's omnipresence, God's omnipotence, omniscience. Yeah, God, we love these words. Joel uses them all the time, so our ears are like kind of lazy with them. Like, oh yeah, God's omnipresence, yeah, omnipotence, yeah, omniscience, yeah, sure. Yeah, I've heard that many times. It's like, I'm just expressing myself here. Like, before you know it, you start to see it as an idea that you hold in your mind about what that would represent. Now, that what you think it means has nothing to do with the real meaning of it. So it's like what you think this represents has nothing to do with it. So this all needs to be revealed to you. And this all needs to be revealed from within as a recognition of, yes, it's a life principle. It is not a word. It is not an activity. It is not a characteristic. No, it is a state of being. It's an infinite way of being. It is an expression of creation. Okay. Does the infinite way of being teach God's omnipresence? It's like, yeah, I think so. Does the infinite way teach God's omnipresence? Well, you see that the idea of teaching then is more like God of omnipresence is what God is. It is not something that can be taught. And same with omnipotence, like it cannot be taught. It is all that is, all that can be known, all that can be present. Right? So that's, in fact, the infinite way of being doesn't teach that. No, it is that. It is your experience of that. It is that what it really is, not what we think about it. Does this have a relationship with you? How? How does this have a relationship with you? Do you see yourself that way? See, these are all great trick questions, you could say. And why do I put these up? Now, here's a very lovely thing that I have to share with you. See, the loveliness of this. The loveliness of this lies in the total incapability of you to to do anything with this. The total incapability. You're not able to do anything with this, is what I'm saying. It's like you're absolutely incapable of doing anything with that. And why is that? Because you see yourself maybe as a self-maintained, self-made someone, like, yeah, I can do things, I can be autonomous, yeah, I'm doing pretty well in that, yeah. Like, well, the infinite way of being has nothing and absolutely nothing to do with that. So there's in no way you are able, say, to do anything with this. In fact, the only thing you can do with it is letting it be true. And that means that you should stay off of it in that sense, as thinking that you contribute to it completely. There's no need for you to do that. Why is that? Because this is completely given to you. You were literally created like that, as a whole part of that. Now that is something else. So you can say, like, man of earth, which Joel uses too, like, man of earth will not be able to get this because he has no part in that. There's no relationship with God and the man of earth. There's no relationship. Now there's a part in your consciousness that is in perfect communication with God, with omniscience, with omnipotence, with all of this. Like, the infinite way of being is within you. It cannot be anywhere else, but it has nothing to do with the man of earth. So that's why we speak of an idea as a transformation, a metamorphosis of a fundamental change in how you experience yourself. We call that an awakening. Like, that is the thing that is actually being offered in this book. A New Horizon is a portal. Like, it's a portal into a whole new experience of yourself that has nothing to do with the place that you find yourself in and that you see yourself and identify yourself with. It has nothing to do with it. So in order then to experience a new horizon, and that can take a moment, it can immediately happen if you're open to receive that, no problem. But it can take a moment, which is perfectly all right too, because everyone has his own process in this, and there's nothing to be forced. Like, you cannot do it, so it has to be given. When you are ready, there it is. And it is as simple as that. So that doesn't ask of you tremendous effort. It doesn't ask of you sacrifices. It doesn't ask of you incredible study and who knows what. It doesn't ask that of you. No, it is coming to the point where you are willing to let a change occur because you're actually motivated to do so. From an inner recognition that this, what I'm perceiving here, this, what I'm experiencing as a limited idea of myself, cannot have any reality if the only thing that really exists is, like, the only thing that's really alive is God, like God who created me in its fullness, in its full accomplishment, in its total perfection, in its total love. Now that is, if that is true, then this cannot be true and has nothing to do with it, because the only thing I experience here is limitation, is death, is sickness, is, you name it. And the only thing that I see myself do in this place of limitation is identifying myself as a separate object, continuously. I think there's someone else to talk to, I think there's something to take care of, I think that things need to be done in order for it to be maintained, and all of this, you could say, like, junk of your mind that keeps yourself busy in order to stay in the denial of the truth of who you are. Because the truth does not need to be maintained. The truth does not need to be constructed or perfected or accomplished. Truth is, and that's happening right now, just as it is happening right now. And it's complete, whole, perfect, and it has nothing to do with any kind of description of ourselves. All right, so that's just the first chapter. Oh my God. Yeah, so I don't know if this is taught this way many times. I don't know. So I know that this is a very high teaching. If you really hear what it says, it's like absolutely mind-blowing. So I've found some places in chapter 1 that I love to share with you. And that is this. Okay, so A New Horizon, chapter 1. Universal Mesmerism. So now we're recapitalizing it. Universal Mesmerism, the sense which presents pictures, I put a line under it, pictures of discord and inharmony, disease and death. That's Universal Mesmerism. Does it have reality? No, it does not have reality. The sense, oh, can you see it as real? Oh yeah, absolutely. You can totally believe that it is real. And you can prove it to yourself too. And you do all the time, as long as you think you find yourself here. So the sense which presents pictures of discord and inharmony, disease and death. There is no, and I say quoted like I put some brackets around the word more, there's no reality to harmonious human existence than discordant world conditions. There's no more reality to harmonious human existence than to discordant world conditions. Now, harmonious human existence, that is something else. It's like, that's almost like it's a contradiction in terms. Human existence is by nature not harmonious. It can have a sense of harmony, but it's not harmonious. It's impossible. Because it is literally like you, as a separate human being, in a human relationship, in fact, are the embodiment of the denial of God. Otherwise you would have no need for anything else, or you would not look for anything else. You would not, say, buy anything else. So there's a conflict in the nature of the human existence. It's inherent in the human mind. It cannot not be so. All right, so another place. Be willing for the harmonious as well as the inharmonious conditions of mortal existence to disappear from your experience in order that reality may be known and enjoyed and lived. So be willing for the harmonious as well as inharmonious conditions of mortal existence to disappear from your experience in order that reality may be known and enjoyed and lived. So this is where you have to come to, being willing to give up, literally surrender all that, what you think is harmonious and what you think is inharmonious, what you think is mortal existence in its totality. Are you willing to let go of that for just a moment in order to have a different experience that can be known and can be enjoyed and lived? And that is what you are. So it's not really that there's a choice in the matter. When are you becoming willing to do so? That's the question. Above this sense life, there's a universe of spirit governed by love, peopled with children of God, living in the household or temple of truth. above this sense life that has no existence, there's a universe of spirit governed by love, peopled with children of God, living in the household or the temple of truth. In other words, that's what's being promised, but then it looks like you have a choice in where you want to stay. Well, this is not true, in fact. So you will see that this sense life has no existence, that it really does not exist, only in your imagination, only temporal. It is always over. It will be gone all the time. It's gone. It's gone. It's not even there. It's gone. You want to hold on to it, but it's gone. It is already over. See, this is what is happening. All right. Let me see. Keep an eye on the time. So I wanted to read two more parts from the book. So I hope this is all right with you, that I do it this way. And if not, then you have a problem because I'm doing it this way. And this is just not because I want it this way, but it's more like, oh no, this is completely given. You have no idea. Otherwise, I would not be doing it. I would have no interest in doing this. Okay, so here's something that I needed to read. Earth ties, wait a minute. In proportion as we accomplish giving up, in fact, of being willing to give up these harmonies and inharmonies of existence, earth ties begin to disappear. Shackles of limitation fall away. Erroneous conditions give place to spiritual harmony. Where's that spiritual harmony happening? In you. Death gives away to eternal life. So this is happening. Earth ties begin to disappear. Shackles of limitation fall away. Like suddenly you find yourself coming out of a prison house. You didn't even recognize it that you were in a prison. You really thought that the limitation that you have put on the things that you see, in fact taking them for real, was your world. You really thought that was like you had to stay there until a certain point, which is death. Yeah, you stay there until you die and then you go to heaven or something. Like this is the way that you were taught before. In Christianity, by your parents, or who knows what, by your neighbor, by who knows who. You were educated, you were taught, like you go through this, yeah, this part of life, it needs, and nobody asked the question, of course, like, why am I doing it this way? If there's a whole loving, perfectly loving, completely eternal God, why am I doing this? Why do I need to suffer? Why do I need to accept this one that I just lost? Why do I need to accept the pain of losing one that I love? And on and on and on. It's like all these limitations that were just brought in as a belief system, that it's just the way it is kind of thing, like a law of human law. All that starts to disappear and fall away by your recognition of what is true. And you see that the life that you called your life starts to literally say, it disappears. It literally evaporates in front of you. All these laws didn't work out that way at all. No, it was really like, it is not that way. It is not what your reality is. And how do you recognize it when you let go of it? You feel so much lighter. You feel happy. You wake up in the morning with no concern, or you wake up in the middle of the night with no fear, just reminding like, wow, it's right here, it's right now, it's all that is occurring. Oh my God, I'm so grateful. I don't know what to do with myself. See, this is not a promise. It is your natural state, and you recognize it because you know that that is for you. And here's you could say a declaration that Joel gives, and I'm using that, in fact, to end this moment together. I am breaking the sense of limitation for you as an evidence of my presence and of my influence in your experience. I, the I of you, am in the midst of you, revealing the harmony and infinity of spiritual existence. I, the I of you, never a personal sense of I, not a specific I, not a specific I, not a personal sense of I, never a person, but the I of you, am ever with you. Look up. I love this. So I'm breaking the sense of limitation for you as an evidence of my presence and my influence in your experience. I, the I of you, am in the midst of you, revealing the harmony and infinity of spiritual existence. I, the I of you, never a personal sense of I, never a person, but the I of you, am ever with you. Look up. I love that. And this is how the chapter ends, in fact. So this is exactly, in fact, what we're talking about. Now you can read it and say like, oh, that's beautiful words. I love that. It's like, sure, that's where it starts. So you consider the ideas. Then you start to accept these ideas. Like, well, there is in fact nothing else but the I that I am. There is nothing else. Now I can connect with that because it is in fact the only thing that is real about me. I'm going to spend some time to contemplate it, to really sink deeply into it, to be willing to let go of what I think I need to do in a world of limitation that I say literally is a picture and not anything else. It is a picture. It has no reality. So coming to myself, recognizing that, I offer myself like the entrance into a portal called a new horizon, where I shift into a whole different dimension altogether. Now that's in fact what Joel is teaching, what I'm sharing with you. And this is happening from within you. You literally invited this to come to you. That's why you are listening. That's why you are part of this. You invited this to come to you because it can only be recognized within you. You're literally the only hope for that. If you allow this to happen, it happens everywhere. So that is so beautiful. So thank you for putting up with me in this, going through 3 questionnaires and a lot of deep looking, high teaching, as I certainly would say, is like it's a high teaching the infinite way of your being. It's like the infinite nature of your being, and connecting with that, recognizing that, allowing that to be revealed to you, what that means. So let's, for now, just be still with that. I'm going to play some music at the same time, but let's be still with that idea, what actually is happening in this instant. Well, thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for joining today in this New Horizon discovery, the first chapter from the book with the essential chapters. And maybe now it starts to dawn why it's so essential to actually take a good look at these chapters. Because look at what happens and what is being shared. It's like, it's unbelievable what is in there. is in fact a total, say, gift to you to recognize what is in front of you and what could save you literally from everything that seems to be so horrific in your dream, and way beyond that, and for everyone else in your dream. So thank you so much for joining today, and I hope to see you next week when we continue in a new horizon. Thank you for everything, and see you soon. Thank you so much.